The story of Prophet Muhammad SAW is one of the most important stories in the history of Islam. Because he was the last messenger who brought the message of Islam to all mankind, here is a summary of the life of Prophet Muhammad SAW. Prophet Muhammad SAW was born in Mecca in the year 570 AD, in the family of Bani Hashim, the Quraysh tribe. His father, Abdullah, died before he was born, and his mother, Aminah, died when he was very young. Muhammad SAW was then raised by his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, and after his grandfather died, he was raised by his uncle, Abu Talib. Since childhood, the Prophet Muhammad was known as an honest and trustworthy person, so he earned the nickname Al-Amin, the Trustworthy One. He grew into a young man who was known for his noble character. When he was 25 years old, Muhammad SAW married a noblewoman and rich merchant named Khadija bint Khuwaylid, who was 40 years old at that time. Khadija was the first person to believe and support the preaching of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, and their marriage was blessed with several children, including the most famous daughter, Fatima az-Zahra. At the age of 40, while he was worshipping in the cave of Hira, Jibril came to deliver the first revelation from Allah. This revelation is the first verses of Surah Al-Alaq, which reads, "Read in mentioning the name of your Lord who created." This revelation marked the beginning of the prophethood of Muhammad SAW and the beginning of the preaching of Islam. The Prophet Muhammad SAW began to spread the teachings of Islam to the people in Mecca. He called on people to worship Almighty Allah and abandon idol worship. However, this dawah faced stiff resistance from Quraysh, leaders who felt their power and traditions were threatened. Over the years, the Prophet and his followers experienced various forms of torture, persecution, and economic boycott. Due to the increasing pressure in Mecca, the Prophet Muhammad SAW decided to emigrate to Medina in 622 AD, an event known as Hijra. In Medina, he was warmly welcomed and immediately formed the first Islamic society, uniting previously feuding tribes. This Hijra year is also the beginning of the Islamic calendar. While in Medina, the Muslims faced several wars with the Quraysh from Mecca, such as the Badr, Uhud War, and Khandaq War, even though the Muslims were often outnumbered. With wise guidance and strategy from the Prophet Muhammad SAW, they managed to survive and win many important battles. In 630 AD, the Prophet Muhammad SAW and his troops managed to enter Mecca without bloodshed. He cleared the Kaaba of idols and forgave the people of Mecca, many of whom later converted to Islam. The liberation of Mecca marked a major victory for Islam in the Arabian Peninsula. The Prophet Muhammad SAW was known not only as a religious leader, but also as a state leader, military commander, and example of noble morals. He emphasized the importance of justice, equality, compassion, and brotherhood among human beings. The Sunnah, his words, actions, and approval is a guide for Muslims in living their daily lives. On June 8, 632, at 12 Rabiul Awwal 11, the Prophet Muhammad SAW died at the age of 63 years in Medina. He was buried in what is now the Nabawi Mosque. The death of the Prophet Muhammad SAW left deep sorrow for his friends and all Muslims. However, his teachings and example continue to live on and serve as a guide for millions of Muslims throughout the world to this day. The Prophet Muhammad left a huge legacy in the form of Islamic teachings, which continues to develop into a religion with the second most followers in the world. The Quran, the holy book revealed to him, is a guide to life for Muslims, while the hadiths, which summarize his words and actions, are the second source of law after the Quran. The life story of the Prophet Muhammad is an eternal example of steadfast faith, justice, compassion, and wise leadership. His teachings continue to influence human life throughout the world. Takbir,